Haya three refuges. Udam saranam gacchami. Udam saranam gacchami. Dhammam saranam gacchami. Dhammam saranam gacchami. Sangham saranam gacchami. Sangham saranam gacchami. I take refuge in Buddha. I take refuge in Buddha. I take refuge in Dharma. I take refuge in Dharma. I take refuge in Sangha. I take refuge in Sangha. The five remembrances. I am of the nature to grow old. There is no way to escape growing old. I am of the nature to have ill health. There is no way to escape having ill health. I am of the nature to die. There is no way to escape death. All that is dear to me and everyone I love are of the nature of change. There is no way to escape being separated from them. My deeds are my closest companions. I am the beneficiary of my deeds. My deeds are the ground on which I stand. I am of the nature to grow old. There is no way to escape growing old. I am of the nature to have ill health. There is no way to escape having ill health. I am of nature to die. There is no way to escape death. All that is dear to me and everyone I love are of the nature of change. There is no way to escape being separated from them. My deeds are my closest companions. I am the beneficiary of my deeds. My deeds are the ground on which I stand. I am of the nature to grow old. There is no way to escape growing old. I am of nature to have ill health. There is no way to escape having ill health. I am of the nature to die. There is no way to escape death. All that is dear to me and everyone I love are of the nature of change. There is no way to escape being separated from them. My deeds are my closest companions. I am the beneficiary of my deeds. My deeds are the ground on which I stand. This precious human life, rarely encountered, is easily lost. Now that I have life and opportunity, may I practice the Dharma wholeheartedly. Mahayana Refuge. In my heart, I take refuge in Buddha, Dharma, and Sangha. May I liberate suffering beings and bring them to great joy. May the compassionate spirit of love grow within me, that I may actualize the great way. In my heart, I take refuge in Buddha, Dharma, and Sangha. May I liberate suffering beings and bring them to great joy. May the compassionate spirit of love grow within me, that I may actualize the great way. In my heart, I take refuge in Buddha, Dharma, and Sangha. May I liberate suffering beings and bring them to great joy. May the compassionate spirit of love grow within me, that I may actualize the great way. Invocation of the lineage. I give thanks for the guidance of my teachers, for the lineage of teachers before them. I give thanks and offerings for their devoted practice of generosity, moral discipline, patience, joyful effort, concentration, wisdom, skillful means, unshakable vow, spiritual powers, and awakened awareness for my benefit. May their years of life be lengthened. May their vows be completely realized, and may I cultivate these perfections with their guidance. 7 practices of the Bodhisattva. I bow down in body, speech, and mind. I offer the best I have to give, both real and imagined, to fill the space between us. I regret and purify all transgressions. I rejoice in all virtues. I request you to remain until total enlightenment. I request wise and compassionate guidance. I dedicate my merit for the sake of all beings. Generating love and compassion. May all sentient beings be free from clinging and hatred. Being close to some and distant from others, how wonderful it would be. May this be accomplished. I will free them from clinging and hatred. Bless me to accomplish this. May all sentient beings enjoy happiness in the causes of happiness. How wonderful it would be. May this be accomplished. I will bring them happiness in the causes of happiness. Bless me to accomplish this. May all sentient beings be free from suffering and the causes of suffering. How wonderful it would be. May this be accomplished. I will free them from suffering and the causes of suffering. Bless me to accomplish this. May all sentient beings have the joy that has never known suffering. May they be free from clinging, hatred, jealousy, miserliness, doubt, pride, wrong view, ignorance, and dualistic thoughts. How wonderful it would be. May this be accomplished. I will bring them to this state. Bless me to accomplish this. Please rise for the Heart Sutra, found on page 4. Great Prajna Paramita Heart Sutra. Avalokiteshvara Bodhisattva practicing deep Prajna Paramita clearly saw that all 5 skandhas are empty, transforming all suffering and distress. Shariputra form is no other than emptiness, emptiness no other than form. exactly emptiness, emptiness exactly form, sensation, perception, mental reaction, consciousness are also like this Shari Putra. All things are essentially empty, not born, not destroyed, not stained, not pure, without loss, without gain. Therefore, in emptiness there is no form, no sensation, perception, mental reaction, consciousness, no eye, ear, no smell, body, mind, no color, sound, smell, taste, touch, object of thought, no seeing, and so on, to no thinking, no ignorance, and also no ending of ignorance, and so on, to no old age and death, and also no ending of old age and death, no suffering, cause of suffering, cessation, path, no wisdom, and no attainment, since there is nothing to attain. The Bodhisattva lives by prajna paramita, with no hindrance in the mind, no hindrance, and therefore no fear. Party on delusive thinking, right here is nirvana. All Buddhas of past, present, and future live by prajna paramita, attaining anuttara samyak sambodhi. Therefore know that Prajnaparamita is the great sacred mantra, the great vivid mantra, the unsurpassed mantra, the supreme mantra, which completely removes all suffering. This is truth, not mere formality. Therefore set forth the Prajnaparamita mantra, set forth this mantra and proclaim Gate, Gate, Mara, Gate, Mara, Gate, Bodhisattva, Gate, Gate, Mara, Gate, Mara, Gate, Bodhisattva, Gate, Gate, Mara, Gate, Mara, Gate, Bodhisattva. Infinite realms of light and dark convey the Buddha mind. All that is and we ourselves come forth in perfect harmony. We offer this sincere and devoted practice for the many beings of the six worlds and dedicate it in grateful thanks to the strength and sound practice of the great Heartland Sangha and its teachers. May our virtuous actions be clear from all interferences, and may our vows be fully realized. We especially dedicate these merits to all those who suffer as a result of injustices, calamity, cruelty, and war. To John, Dave, Kaijin, Stephen, Dwayne Jr., Amy, Sister Suzette, John, Charles, Stephen, Reverend Eugen, Roger, the Richardson family, Laverne and Zuise, may they have peace and healing. And to Jeremy, Robert, Ernest, and Jim at the time of their death. And to those who we hold in the silence of our hearts, as well as those names we now voice aloud. May we live in perfect peace with Buddha Dharma, and may we realize the Buddha way together.
please prepare for Zazen.
We will now recite the Song of Covenant on page 8. We, the Diocese approach Messiah with respect for the worth and dignity of each person, with wonder and wisdom and compassion we seek to cultivate by practice, and with deep gratitude for the teachers of this lineage and our connections with one another, covenant to support each other by upholding the precepts of doing no harm, practicing good, and actualizing good for others. Please be seated for today's talk. I'll sit comfortably, and so you can make eye contact. And in a moment, we'll recite the factor on opening the sutra. On opening the sutra.
Good morning, everybody. Thank you very much for choosing to be here. Couldn't help but notice the beautiful mist in the temple lands right now. It's very evocative and very beautiful, very suited to the moment we're in. On the winter solstice, the 21st, a ceremony was held in the ancestor room. It was attended by very few. The two sitting to my side here the other half, a few Sangha witnesses. And that ceremony was to acknowledge first in our community's history, and that is the professing and receiving of monastic vows. I spoke about this a little bit before, but it seemed fitting that now that has occurred to give these folks a chance to account for themselves a little bit, and maybe for me to contextualize just a little bit further. Since the founding of the original Sangha by Siddhartha Gautama, the Buddha himself, there have been those who have thrown their entire lot into practice. And through the centuries, this has looked differently, different times, different cultures, different places. And here in our time and place and culture, it looks kind of like these two. And so I would like to share a little bit about how this fits into the mandala that we share together, and go a little bit over the vows that are particular to those who take on the monastic approach. To be clear, a monastic is not the only way, or the better way, or the best way, or the one true way, or anything like that, but it certainly is a way to attain practice and realize oneself. And the qualities of the monastic, as I say, have changed over time. Initially, a person would need to not be pair bonded, nor procreate, not have anything to do with money in the world, and follow the rule, and that changes by culture. Here, we've thought very carefully about trying to label in our typical way what's actually been happening for a long time. When someone becomes a Shoken student, it's because they've been a Shoken student for some time. When someone receives the precepts, it's because they've taken them already in their heart and they've been practicing them for some time. When someone is ordained, it's because the community sees a priest and has seen a priest for a long while. And the same thing with the monastic vows. These two have been living as monastics for quite some time, years actually. And so the quick answer is no big change. Nothing's actually going to shift very much, except it's been formalized, it's been acknowledged, and it's been vowed. The vows read this way. I, person, insert name here, with the heart of bodhicitta. Bodhicitta meaning the bodhisattva vow to alleviate suffering for all beings. Vow to live with stability, making this temple and its grounds both my spiritual and physical home, and its schedule my primary commitment, and in this way to serve the Sangha with selflessness and devotion. And here we see one of the main distinguishers between a temple priest, such as myself or so on, or many others here, ordained, and yet I have a worldly job. I'm a professor. While the gig lasts, I'm going to take it, And so that would make me not really self-identify as a monastic. I have a job and a career. The monastic is someone who makes this temple and its grounds the spiritual and physical home, meaning they live here. You can't be a monk and have your condo down the way. You can be a priest and do that. You can be a Shoken practitioner or a disciple and do that. Lots of ways to do that. But one of the defining things, what makes a monk, they live in residence here in this space. And the schedule is the primary commitment. Now, we all, myself very much included, have the privilege to be able to drop into the temple weekly schedule because these two and others keep it going. But the monastics really keep it going. Therefore, some of us can come to the morning, some of us can come to noon, some of us can come to the evening, and so on. Secondly, to free energy of my life for service, I vow to practice simplicity by being mindful of that which does and does not serve the Dharma and this temple. So stability, landing here as the primary place and the schedule as the primary activity. And then simplicity for service to the Sangha, making choices with one's life energy around this as one of the primary pillars. Recognizing that this vocation flows like water, I vow to remain adaptable, meeting each moment with an open and responsive heart. Monasticism, in our view, is not some fossil. These aren't museum pieces here. This is not some robot that just repeats over and over the same thing. Some places look to monks to be something like that. We do not. Rather, the vocation flows like water. The vow includes being adaptable, meeting each moment with an open and responsive heart. Vowing to prioritize the well-being of my body and mind as a resource for Buddha, Dharma, and Sangha. Those of us who were in the Lam Rim teachings this morning heard that actually knowing how to take care of the body and doing that is like part of the path, part of the practice. And so we bake that in here. In balance to the schedule and to all the rigors therein, there's also take care of yourself. And not just as a self-improvement project, but rather so that you can be of service and that you can develop your awakening and be of use to yourself and others. Therefore, caring for the body and caring for health is actually a foundational practice. That's true for all of us, but here we name it. Lastly, understanding that monastic practice is an ancient way of being, I vow to continually realize the monastic path fresh and new under the guidance of the abbot. This ancient way, this ancient heart of wisdom has durable features that are recognizable across culture and centuries, and much has to adapt to the moments that we're in. One of the durable features is this relationship to the lineage, this relationship to the abbot, in this case myself, in relationship to the order, and actually holding that forth. And yet, again, fresh and new. We'll see what it is today. With that, I invite Reverend Kensei to offer some comments. And you might prepare yourselves. We've half thought that we'll pass the mic around and ask for questions later. So we'll see if that comes true.
Well, thank you. I really appreciate the actual opportunity to reflect with Sangha. I think that's such an important practice we do here. Even at Sangha circles and session, we have this time where we've kind of gone through a process or a moment or a day of our lives, and there's a chance to listen and share with noble friends. And I think that's a very valuable part of what we do here. And I'm really grateful to have this moment here to reflect and share. It's really been quite a process. I was considering last night, I was sitting by the fire. I pulled out I have a little floor table now, and I'm working by the fire for all these days and just enjoying the solstice time. But I was trying to think last night of when this really began. And, well, I actually couldn't define a point. I mean, in my life, I think I was kind of born maybe with this. And there's a lot of causes and conditions that have to align. But I know there's been a few points that I can say, oh, those were like serious acupuncture points or seeds, or what they really feel like is like threads that are dangling that somebody kind of sees and pulls. Somebody like your teacher sees and pulls this thread, right? I think we've probably had that experience in Dokusan or in conversation with our teachers. But I think about there was this moment I don't remember what the conversation was about, but I know somewhere in there, Rinzin Roshi dropped the phrase, oh, well, in your semi-monastic life. And I don't know what else he said because I heard that word. I heard the two words. I heard monastic, which was like, oh, this thread of vocation just came right out through. And I also heard semi, and I was like, oh, no, I don't want a semi-monastic life. And it was really troubling because I was married and had 3 kids and a little bit older in life. And so I sat with it for a while, but by the next session, I remember I just like had to go into the teacher's room and be like, I don't want a semi-monastic life. I don't know what to do, but that's not what I want. I knew I wanted a monastic life. And it also hearkened to an earlier conversation I'd had with Doan Roshi about what to do now that I'd taken the precepts and had this second chance at life after my transplant. And she was like, oh, the project of full and complete awakening isn't enough for you. You could just do that full time. Which was also a little scary, but in a different way. But both of those things, I mean, you know, this vocation, this monastic vocation, and the gratitude I have around it, around having a place, a sangha to express that in, having an abbot that develops that, having Kokai, who, I mean, does everything else, makes it all possible in terms of our surviving and life, takes care of our kids and our family and our home in that way. And the lineage that brought this way of expressing the Dharma and practicing to us today. It's the gratitude of being able to serve and the way that service brings forth gratitude. And then cemented in vow, held in vow. It's very powerful. The process of writing these vows over the past, again, I can't really say when it started, but I do know over the last year it's been pretty intense. I think Roshi asked me to read probably 7 or 8 books. We discussed them. We looked at similar institutions at Zen Mountain and Great Vow, and what are people in Western modern Zen temples and monasteries doing for their vows now. So there's a strong influence from those institutions, and the Western monasticism tradition with looking at Thomas Merton and Saint Benedict, and also the Eastern tradition, so bringing in Bai Zhang and Gui Shan, and just that whole, you can feel that whole lineage, not just even in our tradition, but the lineage of people who practiced a religious life, dedicating their lives to service, is very, very powerful and very transformative. And I'm just incredibly grateful. Thank you. My mic fell off, so I've spoken.
My name is Doan, and I'm here because Kensei did all the work.
That's not true.
I'm here because Kensei wanted to do it. I didn't want to be left out in the cold. And actually, this morning, I was like, oh wow, like I'm a big sister. And like, I remembered what I was like as a big sister in my family of origin, and I got a little scared.
Me too. Now.
I actually remembered I was a little bit of a bully. So, yeah, something about being born again, actually. I mean, that was really what hit me in the service, was this like fresh and new. And that I have this incredible opportunity to do something really so deep and so much in my bones that I've been waiting for so long. And to do it with Kensei is really just incredible. I mean, you inspire me so much, and thank you. So, for a long time, I felt like, oh, I have to like be in the world, right? I have to show that, you know, the modern spiritual practice is in the world practice, right? You know, this is like, you know, we're like not lay, we're not monks, we're something else, and that I have to like be part of that. And when we did the service and the ceremony, it was like, oh no, I can totally be myself. Like, it's tough trying to straddle both sides for me. And there was something sort of like that just, I felt so pure. So then what to do with that purity, right? What to do with that totally reborn. And it's even like, feels kind of scary to say that, because like, you know, oh, born again, you know, what is that? But it feels really true for me. And I know in my heart of hearts that whatever that purity is that I'm feeling is what has to move through the Sangha. And there's something about Kensei and I taking these vows of stability and connection that has everything to do with that purity and that devotion, that's like, it's spreading out. It's holding us all. And it's kind of scary to have that kind of responsibility, but it's also, you know, talk about raising the Shen in joyful effort. We were talking about that this morning. It has given me so much energy and so much kind of, yes, I love this place. I love practice. I love making this my home. In fact, we've been building this home for a long, long time. And it just feels like this is like, you know how like in history there are different epochs? This is a new epoch for our Sangha. And I'm so grateful that Roshi has given us an opportunity to like manifest this really deep, profound heart yearning that I think we both have, right? I remember when I first started practicing, and I was very much in the world, and one of the women sitting next to me, she said, oh, you know, you're really a monk. And at that point, I was like, no, I don't think so. But actually, wow, yeah, what a gift at 65 to be able to just have this, I can't even express what it is really, but this truth of my life and truth of the temple and the Dharma just manifest with all of you. And I'm so grateful that you're here, and I'm here for you mostly. I want to like continue to free up. What was that line? This is the tough one for me. Being mindful of that which does and does not serve the Dharma in the temple. Like, that's my edge. I really want to just devote all of the days and all of the hours to that practice, to you, to this Sangha. So, I have spoken.
think we have a few moments. Maybe if somebody could get one of the mics, and if anybody has a question they'd like to ask or a comment to make, we've got a few moments for that.
My name's Aka. Thank you, both of you, for taking up this practice. It just helps all the layers of the mandala. So it's felt. So definitely, thank you. I do have a question though. Is becoming a monastic like a lifelong commitment? Like if you found a really cool condo in Hawaii or something, like can you like bounce out? Like how does that work?
Well, I mean, it's like a marriage. I mean, the intent and the intention is that this is durable. But, yeah, I mean, things can change, sure. But the going into it, the idea is that this is durable. When we opened this building, we had the first Samu day, getting the abbey ready. I, as abbot, took a vow of stability. And that was some years ago now. And that's a vow that I share with the monastics. And that vow is, the intention is that I'm here. I'm not, I'm not going to go on tour and be gone for a year, no matter who asks me to play or whatever other position shows up in the world. My decision is that I'm here stably for the community. And yeah, things can change, but the plan is no. The intention is this is it.
I have no money to go anywhere.
It was an important part of the discernment process, though, to think about that. I mean, I put far more energy into this discernment than my marriage discernment because, I mean, Kokai has to come along, right? Like, I just committed the rest of my life to this, and by vow, thus, we are vowed also together in marriage. So we really did put a lot of effort into the discernment, but I think that's one of the beautiful things about discernment in this Sangha is that it's always yes or no is perfectly acceptable. What is correct? It's not, you've started this path, you will finish it. But that lifelong commitment is an important part of the vow, I think, and it did remind me a lot of thinking about getting married. Not in a creepy way.
My name is Getsukan. When you were working through what to include for those vows, can you talk about any of the more traditional monastic vows that you really intentionally decided to put aside that didn't have a place in this modern interpretation?
Oh, yeah. Poverty, celibacy, obedience. I mean, the Vinaya code is long. I mean, can't touch money. I mean, it goes on and on. You can't have a cozy bed, for God's sake. So, the vast majority of these things have been amended. But the heart of it isn't. The heart of it is monad, meaning singularly focused, but singularly focused within a web of relationality. Being married, having lives, these are modern takes. Like it would be completely unworkable to have a monastic here that's raising a 3-year-old. That's just not going to work. But the kids are adult, more or less. The careers have happened or are happening. There's a lot of things that have to line up. It's far more complicated the way we're doing it. If you make very, very strict codes of behavior and poverty and literally not able to own anything, that's not part of it here, actually. Doan's comment aside, she has more than she knows. But yeah, it's adapted definitively and for sure, And part of that is that, my first teacher, Daido Roshi, had a very clear vision, and he manifested it, and that is what he's supposed to do. But his particular version of ordination was exclusively monastic, and that's something that we don't do, and I won't do. This is not becoming a monastery, like that's the sole focus. This is very much a temple, and there are folks who are in residence here at various times. There will be folks, hopefully others in time, that pursue a monastic vocation in this place. But there's also priests that are not monastic. It's the same ordination, it's just a different expression. Monasticism itself is a very interesting study, and I've spent a lot of time with it. And if you have a room full of dogmatic theologians and apologists from different traditions getting together in a room, it's not going to probably go very well. But if you have a room full of monastics from all different traditions, they're going to get along great. Mystics and contemplatives have no problem hanging out, and there's far more in common than in difference when you get to the contemplative path. So this current version of it is an iteration. We might change it in time. Future generations might look at this and say, well, God, they missed this thing, and they might add it. That's part of the tensile strength of the tradition. Anything else that occurs to either of you on that?
Well, I think it was the vows as we have them were really tailored to what we were already doing and what we are already doing. Yeah. As Roshi was saying, it's sort of like it's already happened. So just kind of spelling it out a little bit more.
Hi, I'm Terry. So I have a kind of logistical question I'm curious about. Do you go to the grocery store? Will you go to a graduation party? Will you drive somebody to, Detroit Airport if you have to pick up one of your family members?
Yes.
Yeah. Yeah, they can, well, that's an interesting question. There are some versions of monastic life where the answer to that would seriously be no. Like there are, on the other side of these woods and the university, some may know, there's Jesu, right? And there's cloistered nuns that live there. And that cloistered way of living, those folks literally never leave. They live behind the grail, so to speak. And that is a cloistered monastic life. And that is one of the ways it can look. Another way it can look is eremitical. One can be a hermit, right? You see them in the koan curriculum all the time. A hermit up in the caves, the Taoist immortal, the Zen master, the yogi up there. That's another kind of a monastic life. Up here, no. They can. We went to Christmas with the family, and you'll see Doan at the grocery store, and no worries. But that's our choice. That's our way of doing it. I could see potential for a monastic at some point in the future that really doesn't want to do that. Like maybe that's really what their vocation wants to be. And maybe we would have a way of accommodating that, or maybe not. We'd have to see at that time.
Can I add something? You heard in the vows the part about, freeing the energy of your life. So there still is, though, a level of decision, right? Like I'm not going to go to the mall instead of Zazen on Thursday night. Yep. I'm not going to go to the mall, period. But if I were going to, I wouldn't go in place of Zazen. So there's this primary commitment to this schedule, yep, which actually determines like your social life, which doesn't exist so much, and what you want if you watch TV or a movie or what entertainment. So there's a whole. It actually is a really good question. It's a big question, and yep, so yes, I'll go to the grocery store, but it will be worked into my primary commitment of the schedule. So.
Yeah, and I'm actually sort of thinking about, maybe I'm going to start walking around in some way, not just at the temple, but in the world, to mark this vow. I haven't quite landed yet whether I'm going to do that or not, but that's the first time I've even considered that. I've always been trying so hard to like fit in and just be like undercover. And there's something about this monastic vow that's giving me permission to actually not fit in. Well, that feels really good. I can't even tell you how good that feels.
My name is Yucho, and I feel like maybe can say you answered a little bit of this, but I'm interested to ask the question anyway. What is the difference between semi-monastic and monastic, and is that specific to you? Could it be different for different people?
Well, I think what Roshi was referring to when he said that to me was the fact that I was living at home in Perrysburg, and my children were still at home with us. They were still in high school. I was very
Oh, so
involved
that
in their
was-
lives. This was years ago. And yet I was so committed to daily zazen. I mean, I was here every morning, dawn zazen. Like, I got up and everyone, you guys nodding. Like, it was, speaking of joyful effort, like I could easily, just get up and be here for zazen. And then it was slowly turning into, I'll just stay and do some samu. And just one day a week, and then 3 days a week. And then Koka's like, are you coming home for dinner? Do you come home for dinner anymore? And I think that might have been the conversation that Rinsen, Roshi, and I were having, was about like, how am I balancing my practice and my life? And so that's like now we have an opportunity for people to do that with the schedule. You can live anywhere and engage a regular schedule practice with the temple. We have lots of people who do that, who come every Friday and stay till 2 o'clock, or do every Wednesday the whole day or whatever. There's lots of opportunity for that, but it didn't exist then. So I was sort of semi-monastically living. And now we have a full schedule, and it is my primary commitment. So that's what happened in 4 years.
I would add to that, too, that in the long arc of the history of the tradition, the monastics are the ones that keep the schedule going, right? So when we come and participate in sesshin, say, for that time that you're at sesshin, you are a monastic. You are all in for that durable time, for that framed time, I should say, right? And then my practice has been to go into sesshin and really just do that, and then leave, thank you, and go back out into the world and integrate this, and going back and forth. But the reality is that I have had the privilege of going in and doing sesshin and leaving sesshin because others have maintained sesshin mind. So there's something there for me to go into and leave. And in the long arc of the tradition, that's what the monastics have done. The monastics are the folks that kept the temples and the monasteries going so that other of us, for whom it would be, let's say, more appropriate or better fitted, right, or more wholesomely suited to us, to come in for a time and then leave and go back into the world and do stuff. And I want to emphasize that it's not like a matter of one is correct and one is inferior. It's what's correct for you at a given time. At a given point in time for your life, what's the most wholesome, healthy way for you to actually engage in the Dharma? And one of the answers to that is monastic life. It's not the answer or the only answer, but it is one of the answers, and it's been one of the answers since the very first time the Buddha started teaching, and for reasons. I think maybe one more, maybe two at most, yeah.
My name is Bujo. And bit by bit, like pieces of this are getting answered. But I'm wondering, is there anything more that both of you could say about, so I know this is recognizing a lot of what has been happening and what you've been doing. And also, what are some specific, like, day-to-day things that are different, or either markedly or just a little bit? What will change? You talked about maybe you'll wear samoe, maybe, you're not going to go to the mall during but you never would have done that anyway, right? Okay, but, what's different?
I honestly don't think in terms of day-to-day activity, there's really any difference, except we haven't had the schedule this week.
Yeah, we don't know.
But I mean, it's like, I can't actually be here more than I am, so.
Sounds like a challenge.
No, but But there is something about the vow, right? It's like when you became a Shokan student, what really changed? You go to session, you wear a different costume or clothes. I mean, these little things have changed, but what really changes in your heart, right? What do you feel when you just sit with that, like that power of vow, right? Of the vow in your spine, the vow in your fingertips, in your, like not hair, I guess, scalp, like in every fiber, feeling that, the vow and holding that vow. And I mean, that practice with vow has always been really important, I think, to all of us. And so formalizing it and standing up and saying, I vow this, and then speaking it in front of your noble friends, that is, I think to me, that's a big change. I can feel that in my body. So I don't think it'll day to day change much, but the feeling tone of it does feel different. That makes sense.
So your name means manifest vow.
It does.
Yeah.
Did you know?
I have a sign.
Yeah, I just feel like a kid. I really do feel like, okay, wow, what's happening here? It feels really great. Was lifted from my shoulders.
Yeah, I think that's a really good point to make, that you're landing in the right place in the mandala when that feeling of heaviness is alleviated and authenticity rings true. And that can look very differently for you at various times in your own practice, and it can look very differently from other folks. And this is this is where it really is a mature person's game here. You have to be able to take joy in other people's joy, celebrate that other people have found their seat, and you, dear one, have to find your own seat. Your answer is not to try to be Kensei or Rinsen or Doan or Bujo. Your answer is to be you, right? The job of the mandala, the job of the institution, is to give you access to these different ways of expressing, these different petals on the lotus, right? To be able to practice as a young couple, to be able to practice as a retiree, to be able to practice as a resident, as a monastic, as a priest, as a shogun, as a disciple, as a non-Buddhist long-term friend and visitor and member even. Right? All of these are exactly right if, for you, they're exactly right, right? So what the mandala needs to do and is doing is make all of these available, give access to ways of practicing that are durably recognized through the tradition and realized fresh and new here in a way that makes sense to us. The way that makes sense to us, that's fungible. That'll probably be edited and improved on as time goes on. The heart of things, it's ancient, absolutely the same. So let us all be encouraged. Let us all be inspired. Let us all find our own seats and fill them beautifully. For the sake of all beings, may it be so.